if you're going to be, what's that? There you go. Look at that.
Thanks so much.
All right. Alacrity. So if we spoke about yesterday, if there will be one Chas v'Shalom who's connected to the Egel, which is the Erev Rav, then you're going to see that you can't do that and also go into Eretz Yisrael at the same time. They're not compatible. And where do we see this? The moment the clouds of glory dissipated, right? They were on the 40th year, right about to go into Eretz Yisrael. No, the Erev Rav, as soon as there was like a struggle to actually fight for Eretz Yisrael, they're the first ones to run away. Let's make a head, go back to Mitzrayim, and they grabbed all the Jews with them that they could, because you can't hold on to, as Rabbi said in the end, either the Egel or Hashem. Those Jews who want to have the Egel and also say, it's not a big deal, I'll also have Hashem, Rabbi says, you're fooling yourself. He says, you're not fooling the Goyim. The Goyim know very, very well that we're incompatible, those two things, right? And they show us at every chance they get that we don't mix with them. But we fool ourselves, and we pretend that we can be living in these two worlds and simultaneously have the Egel and simultaneously go into Eretz Yisrael. It's not going to work. You see, if you're holding the Egel, you're going to, when push comes to shove, you're going to run from Eretz Yisrael. Now we're going to turn to the second part of this story, which is not that the people with the Egel ran, but interestingly enough, as Yoshua, you have it on your phone there? Here, take a paper. You got one. Yoshua had a brilliant question yesterday, which I pushed him off till today, which was, let him go. You know what I'm saying? You want to run with your Egel, you want to take a few Jews with you, chaval for you, but we're Eretz Am Yisrael, and we're strong, and we're with Moshe Rabbeinu, and we're going to go into the land. That's not what they did. Moshe stopped the whole program, and he sent his tribe of Levim, his Temimei, and he sent them 8, let's see what he did, right? He went to go get them. Chapter 18 here. Or whatever, page 311, 18. Yesh lilmod hara nosefes. We want to learn another lesson. Mizeh sheshevet Levi nilchamu imayim v'achzirosam. The story ends that this tribe of Levi went and fought with them and brought them back. Which the lesson is, ein lisyayish mi Yehudi. Don't ever give up on a Jew. It's a more positive message today. Yesterday we were kind of giving a little musser. I saw actually like a little meme somebody sent me, only speak positive about Jews. So I got a little fright. We have to go on the positive now. Don't give up on a Jew. Even those that did not want to continue the mission to go into Eretz Yisrael, they ran back with the Erev Rav. Not only one journey. They went back 8 journeys. It's a major tircha, how far they ran. They didn't just get away a little bit. Lo inichu lehem. He didn't let them go. Chas v'shalom nachzur leMitzrayim. We did not let them go back to Mitzrayim. We could have. It would have been much easier. Al pi klale hademokratia. According to the rules of democracy, says the Rabbi, ein lachriach adam mevuga benigun l'ratzono. You cannot get a person, an adult, to go against his will. Ratzon chalilelech Eretz Yisrael, lech Eretz Yisrael. If you want to go to Eretz Yisrael, go. Aval im ploni rotze leches l'Mitzrayim. If a guy wants to go to Mitzrayim, madu yincham abalbo. So why are you getting in his way? Let him do what he wants to do. Why are you bothering this man? He has free choice. Avalo b'derech kazu mekablim es Eretz Yisrael. Guess what? We're not going to get Eretz Yisrael like that. Lo b'derech kazu tia gula misis. That's not how the gula is going to come. Mashiach yachof kol Yisrael leilech ba. There's the end of the Hilchos of the Rambam, when we were discussing that Mashiach is going to do the world. It says he's going to force the world to go in the ways of God. Force them. Imurak ben Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, only credentials you have to have in your pocket, your only passport, it says you have to be a child of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Or even a child of Avram, alone, if you convert. Also, you can't give up on him. Forget your democracy. Democracy does not apply in Mashiach. The Rabbi says democracy, yeah, there's such a thing called democracy. When it comes to business, we're going to set up the rules of business. What's the shar hayom? Where are we going to set the markets to, etc. Or filu b'nogei din Torah. There is a place for democracy in Torah, which is achrei rabim lahatos. If you get a group of judges, let's say the Sanhedrin, 71 judges, we do go after the majority of the sages. There is a concept of the majority. Avakashem meduber odo shmira Shabbos Hanachas tefillin, kashrus, and tznius, when we're talking about keeping Shabbos, putting on tefillin, keeping kosher, and tznius, where the Rebbe says the Yiladim, the Yilados, Einam Tzrichim, V'asur lehem lios b'yachad. But the Rebbe says, I'll spell it out what I mean tznius. Boys and girls are not only they don't have to, they're not allowed to be together. Lo mishane mai das harabim. Guess what? The majority opinion doesn't matter. Or afilu kulam ke'echad. Even everybody's opinion doesn't matter. Gam kasher kol ha'olam kulam he'ever echad. Like it said by Avram Avinu. The whole world was on one side. Why is he called the Ivri? Where's the word Hebrew? You know, there's fancy people out there, they want to say, you're not Jews, you're Hebrews. Okay, we're Hebrews. You know where the word Hebrew comes from? Yeah? Ivri, yes, it comes to the word Ivri, which means everyone in the world was on one side of the river, and Avram alone stood on the other side of the river. I don't care if the whole world goes against you. I can't say that there's no such thing as tefillin. Hine mitzad hasheni omed Avram Avinu. Yeah, you're all over there, but guess who's on our side? Avram Avinu. Echad haya Avram. Whoa. Avram was one, it says, right? And this, that you don't care what the world says, right? You're not affected by even the whole world's opinion, let alone a group of uppity Jews that decides to go back to Mitzrayim. Sorry, there's not a democracy over here. Then you will get into a situation like it says by Avram, you will inherit the land. Avram was the one who inherited the land in the first place for us. How did he do it? Because he was one man against the world with his opinions. But often kezeh mekabel mes Eretz Yisrael. That's the only way to get Eretz Yisrael. V'zeu ma sharei Shevet Levi. This is what the Shevet Levi, which in today's world is the Temimei, right? Those who gather around Moshe Rabbeinu and are willing to do whatever he says, even if it costs at great cost, personal, spiritual, physical. Shelo zu bilvad shehem ba'atzmam halchu Eretz Yisrael. Not only did the Shevet Levi go to Eretz Yisrael, but odzos, what's furthermore, radfu acharei kol echad me'elu shechazu la'achareim. They chased after every single person who wanted to go back to Mitzrayim. V'nilchamu ehem, and that didn't just chase them; they fought them. Ad she'echrichu osam, until they forced them lisnai kemo Yehudi, to act like a Jew. V'leilech le'eretz Yisrael. Jew doesn't go to Mitzrayim. Did you hear? Did you hear about the story of the Jews? We don't go to Mitzrayim. We go out of Mitzrayim into Eretz Yisrael. That's how we act. But you can only do that without an egel in your hand. Yeah.
Were the Arab brought back too, or just the Jews they brought with them?
Anyone that they didn't kill, they brought with them. But often, because what's that?
What does egel represent?
Egel represents, we said yesterday, assimilation. Basically, the idea that you can act like one of the goyim. What he said, you go to the UN with one personality, and at home you have a different personality, right? So the idea of going to the UN is you conduct yourself like one of the nations. The funny thing is that none of the nations see us as one of the nations. The pharaohs, they act like that. It's not even a joke. Like, they give us one set of rules, and they give themselves a different set of rules. Everyone can see that. And yet we keep thinking that we have the same set of rules. We're just fooling ourselves, right? No one's fooled except for ourselves. So he says, no, you can't do it. The Levim are going to bring them all back. But often, only in this way will the Jewish people get to Eretz Yisrael. In the Geula Rishona, it was like that, the first redemption, because it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, he's called the Goel Rishon, hu Goel Acharon. He is the first redeemer, he is the last redeemer. This is one of the beautiful source texts for the Rebbe's sort of radical idea that Moshe Rabbeinu literally never dies. Again, radical idea, it's said in the Gemara, but that this person leads us perpetually throughout all the generations, and it says he is the first redeemer, he himself is the last redeemer. Just like in the first redemption, this is how he played the game. He forced all the Jews through his tribe of Levi to mamish come with him hook by crook. So too in the final redemption, he is also the Goel Acharon. He's going to do it again. He's doing it already. This is what the Rebbe's whole platform is. He doesn't hurt people, he loves people. But what did the Rebbe say? I'm going to chase down every Jew in love the way Yamach Shemo chased them down in hate. That's the Rebbe's philosophy. I'm chasing you down. You're not going to get away. Just like Yamach Shemo, you couldn't get away from him. He'll find you in your bed. He'll find you in the shower. He's going to pull you out of any place. The Rebbe's platform was, let's learn from them. I'm going to find every single Jew, no matter where you find. I'm going to love you to the point that you can't help it. You're coming with us. This is the platform. 1964. He's building the whole thing here. Yeah. Someone had a hand up? Yeah, exactly. The whole L'umat zeh, that's the whole Indian of Mashiach. Take L'umat zeh and use it for kedusha. Yeah.
I know that Mitzrayim specifically doesn't always refers to Egypt, but in today's time, are we discouraged from going to Egypt?
Not only discouraged, it's one of the negative commandments of the 365 commandments. You're not allowed to go to Egypt. Not only that, the Rambam who lived in Egypt would sign his letters, I, Moshe ben Maimam, who every day is transgressing a mitzvah from the Torah. Whatever reason he had, he couldn't leave. He was like the Sultan's doctor, and he was like stuck there and so forth, but totally against his will. No, I don't think there's Chabad in Egypt. No, Chabad of Karen. What's that?
Here the Pshat is foremost the Pchinat Eretz Yisrael and Pchinat Mitzrayim, which is everywhere in every situation, wherever you may be.
No, the Rebbe's talking mamash about Eretz Yisrael Kepshuto, and he's talking before about those Jews who left Israel. Mitzrayim is for sure America. That he makes clear. But when he says, when he's talking about Eretz Yisrael, no, he's not talking spiritually. He was talking to people who were Israelis that left, and he called them Yordim, because he said you're not just leaving from one country to another; you're going down. You can't leave Eretz Yisrael, right? This concept that we should put it up to a vote whether a Jew should wear tefillin, right? And if you feel that it's not your will, you're not allowed to talk to him. Because that's called, Rabbi Koppel loves to talk about this. He's a Levi, right? Because this is called religious, what do you call it? Religious kafiyah datit. What do you call it in English?
Coercion.
Religious coercion. So the idea that a guy says, my vote is we don't put on tefillin, and therefore don't talk to me about it. It's my vote, it's my opinion. He says, Torah. Good for you. That's not our Torah. Hepech derech lekabel Eretz Yisrael. And it's the opposite way of getting Eretz Yisrael. Excuse me, we all wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael, and you have to come with us. So you have to change your views. That's it. Yeah.
How do you reconcile this? A lot of Jews are troublemakers, So how are you going to forcefully bring them all along when they could have a negative influence on everyone else?
No, you're going to forcibly bring them along in a way where they're having a positive influence on everyone. The whole forcing that we're talking about, obviously, is not a forcing that the Levim are going to go chase them down and kill them. There's different days, different times. What is Chabad Chassidus? Chabad Chassidus is forcing a person intellectually to understand the truth. That's what it is. Its ideas are better than other ideas. And if a person will just have the combat, right? I'm going to sit down, I'm going to fight you. You have a sword, I have a sword. Who's going to win? He who has the sharper sword, who has better skills with the sword. Our chomer, what's been given to us, is brighter, smarter, sharper, and we're training the army who knows how to wield it. So you go to your outpost and you fight every single Jew with ideas and love until they are not troublemakers anymore, or they're troublemakers in a good way. Right? So the Rebbe says, this, by the way, this is just the beginning of the radicalness of this Sikha. Hege atzmacha. The Rebbe says, look at this wonder. Kasher beduber odos hagana. This is, how much time do we have? Beautiful. Check this out. Check what the Rebbe says out. It's insane. He says, when we talk about hagana al gvulei Eretz Yisrael mifnei goyim, let's talk about protecting the Jewish borders of Israel from the goyim, right? Something which is slightly relevant. Lo sholim es Yehudi im hu rotze leleches letzava. They don't ask a Jew, would you like to come and join the IDF? No, they bang on your door and they'll put you in jail unless you join the IDF. Don't try it at home. This is what happens. Olo, do you want to join the army or not? They force you, if you live in this country, to join the army. They force you. It's the only country in the world, I think maybe there's one other, I'm not sure, it's the only normal, real country in the world that has a mandatory draft of every single citizen. Where did this come from? We Jews, we're so like a warring nation? Did you ever think about that for a second? We're the only nation in the world that forces every single citizen to join the army. And guess what? Because we're the only ones that have to. Because we know that if that doesn't happen, we won't have Eretz Yisrael anymore. You have to fight for this place. It's just how it comes. So we won't be conquered by the goyim. We don't have an army, standing army, every second in place. We're not going to have it anymore. It's true that Israel is not only a physical place. It is Eretz Asher Gomer Tamidei Nei Hashem Elokecha Ba Mireshis Hashana V'Achri Shana. It is the land that God's eyes are watching every second from the beginning of the year till its end. Hamatziyah Shel Eretz Yisrael He. The fact of the ground is Sheyesh Ba Gili Elokus V'Meshach Kol Hashana. It has open, revealed godliness all year long, from the beginning till the end. But this Gili Elokus, this godly land that we live in, it's the design of Hashem that the godliness should come all the way down and be practical, physical reality as well. And therefore, therefore the spiritual Eretz Yisrael has been encloaked into a literal physical piece of property, right? It's not a regular land. Everybody calls it the Holy Land throughout the world. But it's a land, and it has borders, and it has an army, and all this is really because Hashem wants the ruchnius and the spirituality and the godliness to be what we call lamata masar tafachim, all the way down to the ground, and godliness should permeate the earth. The kevan shekain, since that's the what's that?
That was a really good sentence.
It's a good sentence. Kevan shekain hareim nogei lahagana shel Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe's call here, by the way, is the most radical rabbi you've ever heard in your life. He says, since this is the case, when it comes to the protection of Eretz Yisrael Agashmius, the mere physical aspect of Eretz Yisrael, which is really like its secondary reality. Lo sholim Yehudim ratzonu lelechem letzav. We don't ask a Jew if he wants to go to the army. Ella kevan shiyodim shezeu sakana. But because we know it's dangerous, azai lokchim oso, we take him to the army. V'uachein matzayes u'magin al Eretz Yisrael. And guess what? He protects the land, like it or not. You're going to take a gun and you're going to stand here and you're going to help us. Al achas kam v'kama, the Rebbe says, how much more so when we're talking about protecting the neshama of Eretz Yisrael, which is basically what Eretz Yisrael really is. We're not going to vote on protecting the neshama, just like we don't vote on protecting the goof, which is a secondary thing. And we're going to ask first, would you like to keep the Torah of Moshe or not? No. Would you like to decide to recognize God as one in this physical world or not? And then we're going to sit there and we're going to consider your opinion. We didn't consider your opinion when you put a gun in your hand, which is just the mere physical protection of the land. Guess what? We're not going to consider your opinion when it comes to keeping Torah mitzvahs either. We're going to take the lesson from this whole sicha. Shebnei Levi, halchu le'Eretz Yisrael levadam. They went to Eretz Yisrael. They didn't go to Eretz Yisrael by themselves. Ba'ashiram b'midbar es elu shechazru la'achareim, and leave everyone who didn't vote for godliness to go back to Mitzrayim. Elaradfu achareim ba'asu imam milchama. They chased after them and they made a war with them. And sof kol sof palu shagam hem yakiru es emes. And they affected that they won that war. That they changed the hearts and the minds of even the Erev Rav to come back with them and enter Eretz Yisrael. And lishkoach me'a'egel, forget your golden calf. Leilech mirtzonam atov lichbosh es Eretz Yisrael. And he does say, to go in their own goodwill, okay? Those who couldn't make it, they didn't make it. And again, we're not talking violence, God forbid, God forbid. No. We're talking love. But those who don't make it means they're so confused. Who knows what's they're going to wind up intermarrying and getting lost on their own. There's nothing we can do. But we're not going to let it happen. We're going to fight with every single Jewish mind until we get them all to come back. What's that?
To be super notnik.
Am kshe orefu, v'salachta. Another eternal lesson. Yesh ladash she'ein derech acheres. There is no other way, says the Rebbe. But derech acheres i'avshar linchol as Eretz Yisrael. We'll never inherit the land in any other way. Guess what? Kvar nisu es kol adrachim. They've tried other ways, right? Why are we still at war with this? Why can't we get this right? We're still fighting the whole world over this piece of land. We've been here 80 years already. We've tried this left, and we've tried the right, and we've tried the middle, and we've tried this. Nothing else going to work. He's trying to say, get it through your heads. This is an old story, and we know how it works. You have a question?
No.
Oh, you're just chilling? We've tried every other way. Guess what? Others have tried to take this land. Others who were stronger. How about the Romans? How about the Greeks? How about lots of people? The British, you name it. Turkish. Everyone's tried to grab this place. Some took it for a couple hundred years. But sof, takiya aretz es yoshveh. This land has a reputation of vomiting out those who dwell on it in an inappropriate way. Cananim, Ishmaelim, Notzrim, he says, the Canaanites, the Ishmaelim, they had it for a while, they still grab it on. The Christians, all of them, the land vomited them out. Eretz Yisrael, Yecholis Kayim Al Yidei Yahadus. The only way this land can be held is with Yiddishkeit. Yahadus Perusha, what does it mean, Yiddishkeit? It's not a feeling in the heart. A Yiddishkeit is putting on tefillin, keeping kashrus, keeping Shabbos, in case you're wondering. Taras mishpacha, training your children, your boys and your girls, young and old. Mibli lisho ma'uratzonam shalahorim. Listen what he says. Without asking what the parents' wishes are. We're not asking you. We're going to educate the children for their good, not because what the parents' crazy ideas are. He says, let me give you an example. You don't like it? Parents who hit their kids. Guess what? You put them in jail. That's what you do with parents who hit their kids. Chovshim osam b'beis ha'asurim. By the way, in this country, God forbid a religious person raises his voice against a religious kid. I had a good friend, they took him to jail because he raised his voice against his kid. They love to do that to religious people in this country, mind you. It's a total freaky, weird thing. But for good reason, right? You hit your kid, you go to jail. Notli mehem es yaladim. Guess what else they do? They take their kids away from them. Mavtichim shelo yaku osam, and they make darn certain you're not going to hit them again. If that's what we do with the body of a child, aval kasher horim rotzim lakos es neshama sheliyah. But when the parents decide they want to strike the soul of this person, let me feed you some non-kosher food. Let me not give you a Jewish education. No felis lepeta svara. Suddenly there comes this idea. Since this is your father and this is your mother, if no one can mix in, this is your house, this is your family. If you hit him, they'll throw you into jail and they'll take your kids from you. But if you torture his soul, suddenly there's this idea. Yes, listen, you voted on it, it's your free choice. Right? What about the guarding of the soul of this child? Lo yitakin metziyosh neshamatia cholanis, and guess what? There's no situation where the soul is sick, God forbid, and the body is healthy. It doesn't work like that. Ein metziyos. So in other words, they're actually destroying the bodies of their children as well. They, whoever. Ein metziyos, because there's no such thing. Haneshama izo shemachayas aguf. The soul is that which enlivens the body, and not the other way around. That the body enlivens the soul. We didn't get to Tchias HaMesim yet. Therefore, the soul must be whole and filled with life and filled with strength. And how do you do it? Only with Torah mitzvahs. And this is the way to affect also a sick body. That it should be a healthy body and not the opposite, God forbid. And since that's the case, as Gufar Yehudi, if we're not going to sit around and let the father and mother destroy the body of their children, how much more so there's no room to let them cause any harm, God forbid, and make a balmum, a blemished child in their soul. The Rabbi says, I'm sorry, democracy, you're going to have to sit on the side. That does not apply when you're hurting people. Shevet Levi haya shevet echad miyud beis shvatim. Now, Shevet Levi was one out of the 12 tribes. In addition to this, the number of the tribe of Shevet Levi, the Torah tells us, right? We find that they were the least amount of people in any tribe, right? Not only they were a minority in terms of the whole Am Yisrael, but if you sized them up, tribe by tribe, they were the smallest of all the tribes. Which means, right? But by them, we had an haga mitzad neshama, but they worked with soul. Their body maybe was small, but their soul was burning with brilliant. V'kasher an haga hi mitzad neshama. When you conduct yourself with soul, sof the soul will enliven the body. And even if in the beginning there was a portion of the body that did not want to be freed, right, and it wanted to be hurt. A portion of the body was sick and it wanted to go back to Mitzrayim. If the soul is strong, the soul has an ability to bring the body back. The Rebbe is basically training his army right now. He's saying there are Jews, like you mentioned, that are sick, that are going to run away. But guess whose fault that is? The soul's fault. If the soul was strong enough, it has an ability to go and bring healing to those 6 parts of the body. So it is upon the tribe of Levi, albeit you're a small number of people. People say, oh, you think Chabad's such a big deal? How many of you are there really? How many Levim are there really when it came to all of Am Yisrael? They're literally the smallest number of people that you could find. If you're going to take a whole population control, they were the minority of the Jews. And yet they saved the whole Jewish people. They became the leaders of the whole Jewish people. He says, move on shalosh shaykh lito. And it's obvious that you cannot come with a claim. That it says, okay, if you want to tell me the body, which you can touch, it's a physical thing. You can measure it, you can weigh it, you can see it with physical eyes. But when it comes to the neshama, you need to be a believer that it even exists, right? Just because it says in the Torah there's such a thing called a neshama, I'm supposed to believe it, right? Or my intellect sort of showed me that there's such a thing called the soul, or Torah mitzvahs. If so, maduli smach al neshama. Why should I rely on such an ethereal thing? It's better that I can deal with the body, which I can touch and smell, etc. Please, everybody knows that your soul conducts your body. It is too. And not that the body rules the soul. Chas v'chalila. Okay, we're basically we're going to hold here. Shkoyach.